Hi everyone, I'm Rajinder Hans. Our first news for today. CMEA participation encouraging. A total of 69 entries have been received for the 6th Sarawak Chief Minister's Environmental Award CMEA, which will be held on November 21st at Imperial Hotel. Assistant Minister of Environment Dato' Len Talif Saleh said this year's award, organised in conjunction with Natural Resources Environmental Board's 20th anniversary dinner, saw an improved participation of 75% with more from the medium industries compared to last year. Chief Minister Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Adnan Satem will present the awards to winners from 4 categories, namely the large enterprise industries, medium industries, small industries and government agencies. He also pointed out that winners of CMEA will receive trophy and certificate of participation, eligibility to use the awards logo for publicity purposes, recognition as an exemplary organisation committed to environmental protection, as well as 50% discount for course fees for one environmental protection or awareness program organised by NREB and Sarawak Chamber of Commerce and Industry for 3 persons. Jointly organised by NREB and SCCI, the biennial CMEA serves as an incentive to encourage good stewardship and environmental protection and management among industries and local authorities in Sarawak. Its objectives are to provide organisations with the opportunity of an independent evaluation of their environmental commitment, stimulate business and industry initiatives in assuming a proactive role in environmental protection, recognise the achievements of exemplary participating organisations for other similar organisations to emulate, as well as inculcate and reinforce the concept and practices of 3 Rs: reduce, reuse and recycle, as a way of life for a green Mother Earth in line with the concept of think globally, act locally. Chief Minister Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Adnan Satem indicated that Sarawak welcomes fund management companies which has track record like PNB. Being the biggest fund management entity in the country, PNB is trusted by the state government. CM highlighted this while officiating the state-level launching of Amanah Saham Bumiputra 2 ASB2. Instead of spending money on unnecessary things, he encouraged the people to invest in ASB as it guarantees unit holders double return. He advised people to think beyond their generation and reap the rewards of savings and investment. ASB2 was launched at the national level by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak on April 2nd this year. In line with the government's aspiration to empower the Bumiputra community economically, the ASB2 is for Bumiputras at all levels of society, especially those between the age of 19 and 34 years, including ASB unit holders whose investment amounts have reached the maximum 200,000 units. Meanwhile, Permodalan Nasional Berhad (PNB) Chairman Tun Ahmad Sarji Abdul Hamid pointed out that Sarawak ranks 3rd behind Federal Territory and Selangor in unit trust investment with more than 19.26 billion units. Sarawak is also 5th place in terms of the number of account holders behind Selangor, Federal Territory, Johor and Sabah with 1.19 million account holders. State civil servants are urged to work hard to serve the public well and to help realise the government's transformation initiatives. State Secretary Tan Sri Dato' Amar Mohammad Morshidi Abdul Ghani said transforming the state civil service required all stakeholders to do their bit. He indicated that albeit the process of building effective and efficient civil service is rather challenging, it requires feedback from the public and government servants. Morshidi said all government officers were also expected to pursue knowledge and skills continually to stay competent and capable. Sarawak Heart Foundation and Sarawak General Hospital SGH Heart Centre has lined up several activities for the World Heart Day next Sunday, September 28 at Kuching Park Lake, Kuching South City Council. The event includes a screening of BMI, blood sugar level, cholesterol and counselling, walk a mile and launching of children's physical activity exercise books, Zumba sessions and fun game sessions. This year's theme is Heart Healthy Environments. The Foundation Board of Trustees member Dr. Sim Kui Hyun expressed that they look forward to encourage the public to support the Foundation's activities and promoting healthy lifestyles. Besides, he hopes the public and corporate bodies will continue to donate to the Foundation to carry out awareness campaign, research programs and meeting some of the equipment needs of the SGH Heart Centre. Moving on to Malaysia news. Groups in Sabah asking for succession must understand that the state will not be safe from cross-border crime and other threats if it chooses to leave Malaysia, said Defence Minister Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Hussein. He said this was in light of Bangsa Moro Islamic freedom fighters and other militant groups in southern Philippines having openly pledged support for the Islamic State, IS. He referred to Bangsa Moro, which has previously expressed their desire to establish an Islamic caliphate comprising southern Philippines, Sabah, Sarawak, Brunei and Indonesia. He added that the ministry is also upgrading a navy vessel and a decommissioned oil rig into 2 forward bases along Sabah's east coast to strengthen security in the state. More cultural competitions should be held to dignify the traditional culture of the Malay archipelago, like the Zapin dance in the country, said Social and Cultural Affairs Advisor to the government Tan Sri Dr. Rais Yatim. The competitions, he said, should be supported by the young generation. Besides dignifying Malay archipelago, such events could help to enhance ties through arts among countries in the Malay archipelago like Indonesia, Brunei, Malaysia, Singapore and South Thailand. He presented prizes to the winner of the competition, Kumpulan Sanggar Budaya Malaysia, during the friendly match of Empire Akar Kita, Zapin Nusantara 2014. 4 countries took part in the competition, namely Singapore, Brunei, Indonesia and Malaysia. It is organised by Persatuan Tatih Seni Malaysia. Angkatan Belia Islam Malaysia today urged the Foreign Ministry to act fast in bringing home Malaysian students in Yemen. Its Vice President Muhammad Raimi Abdul Rahim, in a statement here, said this was necessary because the conflict between the Houthis movement and the military had spilled over the Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. The ministry prior to this had said there were about 440 Malaysian students in the country who had been housed in a building provided the Malaysian embassy in Sana'a in the interest of their safety. More than 80% of 18,459 out of 22,320 Malaysian pilgrims are now in Mecca. 2 more Tabung Haji chartered flights, KT-53 and KT-54, arrived Sunday with a total of 725 passengers. KT-53 left KL International Airport at 2:35 a.m. and arrived at 5:30 a.m. local time with 448 passengers, while KT-54 left the Penang International Airport at 12:35 p.m. and will arrive at 4:15 p.m. local time with 277 pilgrims. The last Hajj flight from Malaysia is scheduled to leave on September 27th. Now we head to the global news. Afghanistan's Election Commission has declared former Finance Minister and ex-World Bank economist Ashraf Ghani President-elect on Sunday, hours after he signed a power-sharing deal with runner-up Abdullah Abdullah. However, the commissioner withheld final election numbers after a UN monetary audit. The announcement on Sunday followed Ghani and rival Abdullah Abdullah signing a power-sharing agreement to form a national unity government, ending weeks of political bickering following a June 14 runoff presidential election. Under the terms of the unity deal, Ghani will share power with the chief executive proposed by Abdullah. The two will share control over who leads key institutions such as the Afghan army and other executive decisions. As flood-ravaged Indian Kashmir faces a communication blackout, social media posts on Facebook and Twitter are playing a huge role in tracing people stranded in the region. More than 400 people in India and Pakistan have been killed in the floods, which have engulfed the mountainous region, and tens of thousands are waiting to be rescued. Tens of thousands of distressed relatives have flooded Facebook and Twitter with cries for help, urging rescuers and army personnel working in Indian Kashmir to reach their loved ones. A Facebook exchange between the army and the sister of a woman who is 9 months pregnant shows that soldiers responded to her plea on social media and rescued the stranded woman. Army officials say all messages for help being received on its website are being forwarded to a group that includes senior commanders in the region. Starting Monday, the Army also began putting up a list of rescued people on one of its Facebook accounts to keep relatives informed. Self-help groups have also sprung up on Facebook, sharing information on missing people. Google has allied with the National Disaster Response Force to create a database of stranded and missing people. People wanting to donate are connecting on the hashtag Kashmir Floods. Sunil Abraham at the Center of Internet and Society says a social media can be a powerful tool for collaboration in situations like the ones faced by Kashmir. He added that through features like hashtag, people can form dynamic express community. About 50,000 people have been rescued so far, 40,000 of them by the armed forces, but tens of thousands are still trapped in their homes. Hong Kong students have begun a week-long boycott of classes to protest against China's stance on electoral reform in the territory. Thousands of students from more than 24 universities and tertiary institutions have vowed to take part, as well as hundreds of academics. Beijing had recently ruled out open nomination for the election of the city's chief executive. The issue has gripped the city in recent months, sparking protests. In addition to the boycott, student activists are also organizing a series of rallies and public lectures in a park near government offices. The protest is planned as a prelude to a larger pro-democracy protest planned for 1st October by one of the leading groups, Occupy Central. Students say China's plan for a committee to vet candidates for the leadership election in 3 years' time does not amount to the greater democracy Hong Kong was promised when it was first handed back from Britain to China in 1997. But the BBC's China editor, Carrie Gracie, says the communist leadership in Beijing is turning firmly against ideas of political reform at home and has no interest in encouraging noisy critics. The US says it hopes a key bilateral security agreement with Afghanistan can be signed before the end of the month. It comes after a deal to form a new unity government was signed on Sunday, breaking months of political deadlock. US Secretary of State John Kerry said the deal offers a huge opportunity for progress in Afghanistan. The security agreement will determine the number of US soldiers to remain in Afghanistan after most foreign troops withdraw at the end of the year. The outgoing President Hamid Karzai had refused to sign it while he remained in office. Both candidates in the country's recent presidential election, Ashraf Ghani and Abdullah Abdullah, had promised to sign the agreement once elected, but the election result has been delayed by months of political deadlock. Under the unity deal, Mr. Ghani becomes president, while runner-up Abdullah Abdullah nominates a CEO with powers similar to those of Prime Minister. 2 Chinese destroyers have arrived at Iran's Gulf port at Bandar Abbas in an unprecedented visit, attesting to a new rapprochement between the two countries, Iranian media reported Sunday. The 4-day visit is the first time a Chinese naval vessel has called at a port in the Islamic Republic across the Gulf from Bahrain, where the US 5th Fleet is based. The two navies will conduct joint search and rescue exercises and training for maritime accidents, according to Admiral Hossein Azad, a a senior commander of the Iranian Navy, quoted by Medium. Iran's Navy has boosted its international presence over the past few years, in particular to help guard commercial vessels in the Gulf of Aden against pirate attacks. Ships from Iran's Navy have called at Chinese ports in the past. Iran and China have greatly enhanced their trade and economic relations in recent years. China has become Iran's largest trading partner. Trade between them is this year expected to exceed $45 billion, despite the economic and banking sanctions against Iran because of its controversial nuclear program. China is among so-called P5+1 states, the United States, Russia, China, France, UK and Germany, negotiating with Tehran in the hope of ending more than a decade of crisis over the nuclear issue. NASA's MAVEN spacecraft began orbiting Mars on Sunday on a mission to study how the red planet's climate changed over time from warm and wet to cold and dry. The unmanned orbiter has traveled more than 10 months and 442 million miles to reach Mars for a first-of-its-kind look at the planet's upper atmosphere. The data from Mars Atmosphere and Volatile Evolution spacecraft aims to help scientists understand what happened to the water on Mars and the carbon dioxide in its atmosphere several billion years ago. How Mars lost its atmosphere is one of the science's biggest mysteries. The answer could shed light on the planet's potential to support life, even if that was just microbial life long ago. MAVEN's findings are also expected to help add to knowledge of how humans could survive on a future visit to the red planet, perhaps as early as 2030. That's a wrap for the Prime News today. We'll be back tomorrow again. I'm Rajinder Hans from tvsarawak.com. Have a pleasant day ahead.